Good morning, good morning. We are here for Wellness Wednesday. I am Hannah.
I'm Sarah, and I have my hair cut, everyone.
I didn't even notice. How did
Rest
that
of the
feel?
year. Welcome along. How you doing, Han?
Really good, really excited to be here today. Are you well today?
Yeah, I'm very good, thank you. And yeah, we've got a really important subject today, so
Yes.
really looking forward to sharing it. So let us know if you're watching so that we know we're not just talking to each other.
Yeah.
And
And
yeah, go on.
today we are here to talk about anxiety and the hidden symptoms, really, because you may not label the symptoms that you're challenged with as anxiety, because that's really common, isn't it, Sarah?
Yeah, we get a headache. We just put it down to dehydration or just a headache, don't we?
Yeah. Or even maybe things of like maybe like social anxiety, not wanting to go out. Particularly, I think it's really relevant after lockdown about health anxiety and social anxiety, going back out and mingling in public, but not necessarily realizing that's anxiety. Maybe even thinking that it's normal. So, what I'd love to know, Sarah, is when is it normal and when does it turn into anxiety? Is there a definition?
I think we all experience the symptoms, which we'll go into more detail, of anxiety from time to time.
Yeah.
And that's really just our nervous system going into our fight or flight with a
Yeah.
perceived threat. So sometimes they're real threats, sometimes they're perceived. And so you're going to experience sometimes those nervousness feelings, and then we'll go into the physical symptoms, like for example, your stomach being upset or sweaty palms. So
Yeah.
that's normal to experience them from time to time, but it's diagnosed as a sort of an anxiety disorder or condition when you experience it excessively for over 6 months. That's sort of the medical definition for it.
Yeah.
And I would say as well, like, how quickly does 6 months go?
In the blink
Like,
of an eye.
you might not even realize that you've had this thing going on for that long. So that's the medical definition.
Yeah.
And shall we sort of go into some of the physical and mental symptoms?
Yeah.
Um,
I think that I'd like to add, first of all, that Sarah and I really love talking about things that we've personally had challenges with, because you learn things professionally and that's great. But I think it's more powerful when you've had that personal experience and you've learned how to get over something. And what works for you, we know doesn't always work for someone else, but you do learn a whole host of tools that you can share. And this is something that we have both had challenges with, and we'll go into that a little bit more during this chat as well. So we'd love for you to say hello. Let us know if you feel like this is something that you're dealing with, or maybe someone in your family. Maybe it's your partner, maybe it's your kids, maybe it's your mom, maybe it's your best friend who's really suffering with anxiety. So yeah, let's jump into some of the symptoms. What's some of the physical symptoms, Sarah?
So there are quite a lot, and I have got a list. So if I look away from cameras, because I don't want to miss anything, but one of the huge ones is when it affects your sleep. So when you go to bed and your mind is just racing,
Yeah.
it's difficult to fall asleep. So that's sleep latency, and then you might find that you wake up in the night and the mind's in overdrive. So your
Yeah.
sleep impacted, and then that then has that knock-on effect, doesn't it, through the day, through diet and things.
Definitely. Yeah.
Addiction can be a sign of it. So when you're in your overstimulated nervous system, you might find you're a little bit more addicted to maybe foods, technology, drugs, smoking, something that's not serving your health for the highest good.
I think that sorry. I
I
was
was
going
going
to
to
say,
say, zapped energy, which was something that you could speak to.
well, I just wanted to go back to the addictions one first of all, to say that I see it a lot with my clients where they sort of openly admit that, like, my phone is an escapism and I might just play games. Morning, Sam. Thanks for saying hello. I might just like lose myself in games, or maybe social. That's probably the big one for most people. Just like spend hours scrolling. And I think that you've shared in the past, Sarah, that you would use alcohol as a way to relax in social situations. So not necessarily that it was an addiction, but almost like a crutch, would you say? Would you describe it like that?
And then it sort of maybe becomes a habitual thing. So I'm going to feel, I might feel nervous here. So then I'm going to have it out. I'm going to have some alcohol to relax me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So addiction can be on, it's a sliding scale, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. And then you said energy. Yeah, there's so much to say about energy, but I think you're right. What you already brought up, Sarah, to say about sleep. If your sleep has been affected, we know that our energy is on the floor. We can do like a night or two occasionally not getting enough sleep and we're okay. Probably want to eat a bit more the next day to make up for it energy wise. Yeah. But we can't keep doing it. As humans, we need to get good quality sleep. So that's one thing. The other thing is, like you're saying, like we might be reaching for more chocolate or more alcohol, you know, things that are supporting us short term, but those foods really, really drain our energy. So that's a big one as well. What's some other physical ones?
Yeah, some actual physical signs that you might see, like sweating, blushing, it could be trembling, it could be twitching, hot flashes, actual panic attacks. That's obviously when it gets very, very heightened.
Yeah.
Headaches are a really big physical symptom of anxiety, and things like difficulty swallowing, real sensory overload, so like loud noises, or they can be really jarring and you just feel like you want to close the door off and close off to the world. I think they call it Globus sensation when it's difficult swallowing, you get that very, very dry mouth as well.
Yeah.
And then autoimmune conditions as well. So on a very surface level, something like eczema, that will be a sign and symptom. And then it can all go all the way deeper into things like Crohn's disease and MS. And, you know, these are really the more advanced when it's gone over 6 months, which we're leaving ourselves open to.
Yeah. It's probably been manifesting a number of years in the body at that point, but you probably haven't recognized it necessarily up to that, or thought my headaches are normal, or, you know, my palpitations or my sleepiness, that's just me. You kind of put it down to just you. Yeah. I'd love to pick up on that point of the senses, because I really do feel in the modern day that we do have sensory overload. So anyone who's watching live or on replay, and Sarah, you can speak to this, I'm sure, as well, but I feel like modern day really puts us in sensory overload. So I've really recognised mine in the car when my kids are talking at the same time, normally arguing, and my husband might be talking in the background, he's got the radio on, and perhaps there's like my son's on a game or something, and I feel like my senses are just massively overloaded. Or if I go into maybe a shopping centre and there's like a lot going on, I get that really quickly of it's too much. And I feel like when I work with my clients, it's like, well, have we had that balance? Have you had quiet time that day? Did you make time for meditation or yoga, or just some time when you wasn't needed during the day? And I think it's just our body. Sam saying that she's very sensitive to noise. Yeah, it is to do with the kidneys actually, and dehydration as well. But I do think that we do need some protected time as human beings, not doings, that we just need some time protected without all the noise and the stimulation. Can you speak to that, Sarah?
So true. We were talking about this at the weekend. Everything that the body takes in, it has to assimilate, whether it's light, a sound, food, drink, or an emotion. And we are, you know, we're constantly on, aren't we? And with the advent of technology, there's buzzers, ringers, and pops and blasts and
doorbells when you're not in the house.
Yeah, absolutely. So
someone's at the door.
We have to be in our sympathetic nervous system, our fight or flight, to deal with that, to assess it, is that safe? Is that something I need to respond to? Do I need to be alert? So every single noise, everything you look at, everything, as I said, everything you take in, you have to be in your stimulated nervous system to deal with it. So it's no wonder that we are absolutely overstimulated and feeling very anxious, or have anxious disorder, which you might maybe starting to realise, I didn't realise, you know, I can't deal with those loud noises now. That could be a sign of a symptom of anxiety. Yeah. And then we've got the mental symptoms.
Yeah, we just talk about those then.
So I think we can all resonate with worry, especially during these days, but we're thinking more of like a constant worry, and worry is something that is unnecessary. It will not help a situation. But when you've got anxiety conditions, you can't help but worry. You just can't get out of the loop. Yeah. So that's a big one. You've got intrusive thoughts, and they're disruptive, and they're overthinking, and they're excessive. So yeah, of course, the mind's always needing to assess things and go on. But this is like an intrusive thought. Like if I step out the house today, I might get run over. then you just run away with that story. So it's intrusive, it's not necessarily helpful. That feeling of being on edge and being restless. So this is something I can definitely resonate with. I'm very restless and I've got a lot of extra energy, and it's not always channeled in a useful way. So it's just like you need to move around and you just feel this restlessness.
Yeah.
And then the more emotional side, like low self-worth and poor boundaries. So that necessarily recognised with anxiety, I wouldn't have said, but it's a big one, isn't it? Like if you've got poor boundaries, people might be overstepping the mark, and that's going to cause your anxiety levels to go high. And then you get in that self-perpetuating circle of it happening because your anxiety is so high and you can't deal with something, you can't set the boundary.
Yeah.
Anything around the brain, so like brain fog, confusion, dizziness, losing focus. So that sort of tips over into physical/mental.
Yeah.
Impatience, asking for reassurance quite a lot. Comparisonitis, so that's not an official medical term, but when you keep comparing yourself to somebody else, which is unrealistic. Social media, again, that's not a great one for it, is it? Like, I think we all do it. We've even spoke about it, us, haven't we? You know, so-and-so seems like they're doing so incredible, but don't forget that you only see one very, very small section. But when you're anxious and you can't reason with yourself, you can't kind of put it into perspective and say, you know, that's probably only, you know, they probably had a big argument before they went on stuff. That picture or something like that. And then, of course, social anxiety, which I can definitely speak to that quite a lot, but I think that's going wider spread now, where people have been in their homes for so long. They're not only nervous about being in a social situation, but whether they're going to catch something or get ill. So that's or pass it on. So that's like a new level of social anxiety. And that might lead to avoiding social situations or certain situations. For me, I would avoid speaking in public in any form. And that actually impacted my job choice as well. We've got irrational fears and interference with ability to function day to day. So, you know, anxiety levels so high, you can't go out the house. And things like procrastination. So I think that's something we can all resonate with time to time. But if you get stuck because you're procrastinating so much on what could go wrong and all of those things, then you just don't get anywhere, do you?
No. Could you tell us a little bit more about the talking in public? Because that's something that we see in our family. It's kind of like a family trait that we're worked hard to overcome. It doesn't come naturally, even though we're here live on Facebook and YouTube today. Could you tell us a little bit more around how that would present itself? Is it like getting sweaty palms? Is it that you couldn't really get the voice out, kind of like the throat chakra was a bit blocked? Like, how did that manifest?
I think it starts mentally in your mind. First of all, it's low self-worth, and it was, why would anyone want to listen to what I've got to say, and procrastinating on that. And then once I got out of my head and realised what you've got to say is going to help people, so it's not about you, it's about delivering a message. It does then kind of show up in the body still. So sweaty palms, trembling, exactly what you said. The voice isn't coming out clearly and easily, and
rapid heart rate,
breathlessness, exactly.
Yes.
And that's something that you worked on and overcame as well, wasn't it? You kind of constantly.
Yeah, one thing that really helped, and I'd love to share this, I went on, it's only a one-day public speaking course, and the lady said, do you know when you all sit around in a circle and they say, right, oh, you say who you are and what you do, and you can feel it coming over to you and getting tongue-tied before it's even got to you. She said, if you're feeling like that, you're actually not concentrating on what the other person's saying. So all you're doing is you're thinking about you, and you're not being present in the moment, listening to them. Because if you was truly being present and listening to them, then you wouldn't be having these feelings about yourself. So that really, really helped. And what I share with a lot of other women now who kind of want to do this kind of work is I say to them, stop being so selfish and keeping all your gifts to yourself. How selfish are you? And kind of make a joke out of it and say, come on, you need to step up and share like the knowledge, the wisdom that you've got in any line of work. But Sam has shared some things in the comments there, some wonderful tools. She said she started sitting quietly in nature and really listening to the noises around me. So it might be, if you was in a room, it might be the ticking clock, for example, or, you know, the people walking past outside the house. In the garden, it might be the birds singing, or as you walk out, there might be like sounds underneath your feet as you're walking out. And tuning into all those noises can really make you present in the moment and put you back into that rest and digest mode, out that fight and flight mode, which we are in so often in the modern day.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you,
So,
Sam. That's a great tip.
Yeah. Any more symptoms? Have we covered all the symptoms? Oh, yeah. Let's talk about, sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think we've covered the majority.
Good. I wanted to just say about like how, what's the problem with dealing with this? Like, how does it hold you back in life? And if you keep ignoring it, what could it turn into? I mean, for me, I think living in, I called it stress mode rather than anxiety. I definitely didn't label things anxiety. That led to adrenal fatigue for me. So always being in that fight or flight mode. Actually, let's just say, if you don't understand any of the medical terms, it wore my body out. And I didn't have a lot to give anymore. Hi, Heather, nice to see you. So that was for me. And it can also lead to problems with like thyroid problems and digestive problems, can't it? I mean, absolutely IBS, you know, anxiety is really, really linked to the digestive system. How would you say, because you suffered for a long time, Sarah, with anxiety, how would you say, what was that like the long-term impact of anxiety for you?
I think the long-term effect was showing up. It was showing up in my body, but I was eventually I got to a point where I could manage it in my body. But it was really showing up in my life in that I wasn't doing what I wanted to do because I was too nervous to do it, or too anxious to do it, or too worried. So it stopped me, you know, it held me back in my job, held me back in relationships, it held me back in my social activities, and it impacted relationships. So I think that's why we talk about the mental and the physical, but actually the whole emotional, like, are you not living the life you want to? Because your condition, whether it be an illness, whether you label it as a certain illness, is holding you back and basically controlling you. And I look at it as when you recognize these symptoms and you learn the tools to deal with them, then you've got freedom of choice. And whether that's freedom, like I'm not addicted to, you know, needing alcohol when I go out socially, or I'm not addicted to medication to suppress it, basically, let's say, or, you know, every time I got a headache, quickly pop a pill and then carry on putting myself in the situation that was causing the headache in the first place. I mean, it's so crazy when you break it down like that. So we know that it can be cured and affect your physical body, your mental state, your whole entire life, basically. And that's why we talk about holistic tools and holistic health, because you can't be ill in your body and it not affect your mind.
Absolutely.
You know, have a poor relationship with someone and it not affect your mental state. So it's all interlinked, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think it depends kind of, we've all got a weakness in our body. So you might know that since you were young, you've got a cough every year, or when you're nervous, you feel it in your tummy, or you get like lots of headaches. We've all got different weaknesses in our body. And I think that's how it will depend if you're suffering more physically or more mentally, or like Sarah said, just playing smaller in life, which actually is affecting the whole bigger picture. Sam said digestion there. So we mentioned how anxiety affects digestion. And she said digestive for me, and having dizziness at the moment, immune system. So digestive system is really linked to immune system. About 70% of the immune system's in the gut. So if you are having problems with digestion, it's affecting your immune system. And she was avoiding restaurants before lockdown because of the noise, and the food. Oh, Sam, what about when you go to a restaurant? Sarah, have you had this one where they've got the knives and fork tray right next to you and they drop them all in when they've just got them out the dishwasher, and you're like, I came out for a peaceful meal. You're dropping cutlery next to my ears. And the food. So in restaurants, they use a lot of refined table salt, which is very dehydrating for the body. And they also cook in cheap oils because they're there to make profit. They're not there for your health. There may be a couple of restaurants, a couple of vegan restaurants where you see they use pink Himalayan salt, or they use a good quality olive oil. But at the end of the day, a business has got to stay in profit. And the way to stay in profit for a business is to cut down on costs. And the way to cut down on costs is to use cheap, horrible products that you wouldn't actually use at home. And so eating out most of the time is not good for our health. So I understand why you were avoiding that, Sam. But obviously it has the nice social aspect to it. And we do want to get out of the house sometimes.
Yeah, so it's nice waited on, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. We haven't got to do the washing up. Oh yeah, and the background chatter and trying to concentrate on someone talking to you. Absolutely, yeah. You have to have a meal at home, Sam. So Sarah and I have both suffered with many of these symptoms. We both help our clients overcome these symptoms, and the way that we like to do it is to use a number of holistic tools. We don't think there is. I don't think I've worked with any one person where it's like, do this one thing and you're going to be better. Especially with anxiety, it's kind of multifaceted, isn't it? Where you've got to address the nervous system, and you've got to address your stress levels, and you've got to address, like, are you taking time out and relaxing, and the mental chatter, and probably some of the physical symptoms at the same time. And so we do this inside the Holistic Health Circle, and we launched the Holistic Health Circle just coming up to a year ago. We're about a week away, so about 51 weeks ago at the moment. And so this time last year we ran a challenge. Tell us about the challenge, Sarah.
Yeah, so it's called Anxious to Aligned. So we spoke about, you know, the name of this Wellness Wednesday talk is Secretly Anxious and Incurable. And it's really just to say, if you don't know you're dealing with us, if you don't know what you're dealing with, then you don't know how to overcome it. So maybe some of these resonated with you, what some of these symptoms we spoke about, and it is curable. It absolutely is 100% curable, but you need to know what you're dealing with. So we have got 5 holistic tools that we use inside the Holistic Health Collective, and we're gifting them to you, little 30-minute sessions each day from the 24th of May. Now, we do them live at 11 o'clock, but of course you can get them on replay. So we go through our 5 most powerful tools, and we've got the sign up link in here, so you can check that out, and it's got loads of details. I won't go into all the juicy details now, but we're looking at things like our breathing and our diet, which we spoke about, you know, that breathlessness, that restlessness. Your immune system is going to be affected if your digestion is affected by your anxiety. And that's true. I mean, when you were talking, I was thinking I used to get colds and you know, feel run down all the time.
Yeah.
But my digestive system was in bits because I was so on edge all the time. You know, I couldn't keep the nutrients in, basically. So of course I couldn't fight off any illnesses, disease, or pathogens coming my way. So so we're looking at those things. So we would love for you to join us. We've had some incredible feedback from people that have been through the Anxious to Align challenge, and then they've come into the Holistic Health Circle, and they're starting to really thrive. And it isn't an overnight success with these things. They didn't happen overnight. They took a while to build up. But these tools will give you the freedom to tap into how you want to feel, recognize, you know, what's going on with you, and then to overcome them as well.
I think it's worth saying there, it's not an overnight thing, like here's like an antibiotic in a week, you're going to be better. But it doesn't take long in the great scheme of things. So if you was putting conscious effort towards this, within a month, you could feel significantly different and be on the way, you know, to feeling a lot better. So Sarah's just explained the workshops, just to say that we did run them this time last year, and we absolutely loved running them. We had so much good feedback that we wanted to redo it. We thought it's a year, we want to celebrate our year together, and so we're rerunning it, as Sarah said, 24th to 28th of May. So if you would like to join us, the link is there in the chat that you can sign up to, and we'd love for you to invite anyone. So tag them into this video. If they're already in the group, tag them into the video. If they're not in the group, invite them to the group, the Fight Fatigue, Stress and Anxiety Naturally group. That's where we are now. And then once they're in the group, if you can remember, tag them into this video, or they probably see the link anyway. But we really want to get this word out there of natural healing and what you can do for yourself. Medication's great. It's really good in the short term, actually. but long term it doesn't really help us. It kind of masks the symptoms but doesn't really help us get to the underlying cause. So you could do both together, you know. And a lot of women that we work with, they come into the holistic health circle, they're on antidepressants or other medication, and in time they choose to come off working with their doctor to do that, but they feel like they've put enough in place themselves to be in a place to be able to do that. And actually I'm just working with someone at the moment, she's just come off and she's doing really, really well. She's not having any symptoms and she's come off because she's put all the good things in place to bring the balance back to the body in the meantime. And if you have tried to come off antidepressants in the past and it really didn't work for you, because I've worked with women like that as well, it's probably that you tried to come off but you hadn't put something else in place to support the body. So we need to work out what's missing, bring those things in, so when you do taper off, or if you choose to taper off, that you've got these other supportive techniques in place to help you. So Anxious to Learn workshops, 24th to the 28th of May, so towards the end of this month. We've got plenty of time to sign up. Anything else to add at the end, Sarah?
No, hope to see you there. And if you've got any questions outside of that, if you want to work with us on a one-to-one immediately or anything like that, then you can contact us as well on the Facebook group. But hope that you have a well Wednesday. Good to see you.
Thank you, Sam, for your comments. Thank you, Heather, and everyone else who's joined us live. Give us a hashtag replay if you watch it on replay, and see you next week. Bye.
Bye.